I've never heard another leader anywhere talk as much about energy as you do.
Well, I use energy in two forms. I use energy and energize.
Correct.
Anybody can be a whirling dervish racing from place to place, filled with energy. But you've got to energize people. You've got to energize those around you. You've got to excite them, bring them on board. If you're full of energy, changing your mind, doing this, jumping around, it doesn't do much for anybody. But if you can get a mission, a vision, lay it out, and then energize everybody around that vision to follow it, and you can be a group of 5, a group of 10, a group of 100,000. Your job is, though, to excite people on the vision and mission you've articulated.
Okay, so let me be painstakingly practical here. You walk into a room, you're going to hold a meeting, and you're saying, that leadership gear in your head is saying, it's my job to energize these people.
Right.
Okay, how do you do it? So,
well, I'll give you an example. I went 2 weeks ago, we've started a university, and I wanted to see the call center in Phoenix. So I flew from here to Phoenix, and I got some people who were call center people, 42 of them in a room with their managers and their boss. 10 hours later, we emerged. We talked. Now, call center people, you can say, well, what could you talk to them about that long? I wanted them to connect on what our mission was, and I wanted to know what their problems were. And they didn't really understand what we're trying to talk to students about. And so I had to engage them. I had to excite them about what we could do, why we wanted to be the best online school in the world. And their job was not to hustle people to join, but to tell the story so people could make their decision. And I had to engage them in the whole thing. And I tried to, we had fun, we laughed, we went down 10 paths that didn't work and came back another one. But we stayed there until we all got on the same page. And it couldn't have been more fun. I mean, and our age differences were probably 50 years. And we could not have had a better time.
So energizing somebody is not hyping them. It's not like a cheerleading session. I'm trying to...
It's basically getting them to feel this vision. Getting to feel where you're going. Now,
that assumes that you feel it.
Why else would you do it?
So, in other words, I mean, we're saying the obvious. Unless the leader feels the fire, it's pretty hard to pass it on.
Yeah, and you know, you could make a call center job. They make something like, they have leads, and they make like 80 calls a day. And it's a very routine, mundane job, unless you can excite them that what they're talking about is going to change the lives of the people on the other end of the thing. It's tell a story. Show them how their lives can change, how their options will change, how they have many choices if they're successful in this journey they're going to take. And you get them excited about the journey because you like the journey. You believe in the journey.
Now, when you walked into that room, let's just keep going with that example. Did you have it all mapped out how that day was going to unfold? A lot of leaders, I think, come into rooms, they've got one card to play. If it doesn't go well, they go, we had a bad meeting, instead of saying, no, wait a minute, maybe that didn't connect, but I'll try this, I'll try this.
Look, I had no idea how this. I've never met with a call center group in my life. So there I was in this room, and I didn't know what to expect. But I knew what I had to do was to get them in some way to tell their story to each other, what their frustrations were, what they were trying to talk to people on the phone about. I had them play act. I talked to one of our students. The kid almost dropped dead on the other end of the line. But but we did all these things that we had no idea of. I mean, no, I had no idea. No idea, no plan whatsoever. In fact, most meetings, if they're any good, are not, and that's the frustration you see in corporations. Tons of time wasted on PowerPoint slides, droning on with the rather than having an engagement where you go at it and really come up with a better answer. The job of a leader is to always raise the intellectual bar of the conversation by drawing out the people in the room who make you smarter. I mean, you can't be in your job as a preacher without learning from those around you, and that's what you do as a leader. Every day you get smarter, and that's why you always want to hire smarter people.
Right.
And this crazy thing that happens with insecure people is they hire dopes. And they don't get any better.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah. All right, one last shot at this call center experience, because I think it's so practical, it can help a lot of our leaders. So at certain points during that day, you read in people's eyes, we're on to something here, this is working. So as a leader, when you're making that kind of connection and you feel that coming back, is that when you say to yourself, let's ride this as long as we can, let's take this as far as it can go?
Absolutely. When you see 2, 3, 4, 5 buying in, your job is to get 42 in this case to buy in. Now, if you got 30, you had a home run day. But you work and you work and you work. But the way it worked in that particular setting was to let them role model. Let them say what their frustrations were, what worked, what didn't work. Bring them into the... They don't want to listen to you preach at them, but they can all share each other's experiences because they're all having the same experiences. You know, selling us a product that they don't know. They didn't know the mission because we had a blokes telling them what the mission was and weren't doing the job. So I went right to the people that were on the phones.
Yeah. How did you end that day, just out of curiosity?
I asked them to go around the room and tell me what they got out of the session. Oh. And I probably got 20 people to talk. And I got really turned on by the fact that they could articulate back what the group had brought together in terms of intellectual content, that they could now go on the phones the next day and tell a story, a real story that they believed in, that they could convince people about the value of it, and we got them to really understand what they were doing.